Hello, my name is Jason Bowling, and this is my interview for Garage Rehab. Um, Currently, I have a shop called Chelsea Paint Restoration that I've been operating in Chelsea, Michigan. That's about a half hour outside of Detroit. Half of our business is restoring classic cars, and the other half is traditional collision repair work. My background and job history. I grew up as the son of a small business owner. My dad had a welding shop, so I grew up kind of in a small business environment. I went to college, went to Western Michigan University, got a business degree, decided to go into the corporate world. I, since we're so close to Detroit, I ended up getting into the automotive industry. I sold parts. I was basically a bearing expert for a great number of years. Any type of bearing in a car, water pump bearing, wheel hub bearings, belt tensioner bearings, alternator bearings, AC compressor bearings. I was the guy that would research applications and get all the information out. Basically, I dealt with all the accounts like AutoZone, CarQuest, Napa, and I was able to get bearings and information to those companies so that they could turn around and get the proper parts in all their local stores. Then for a few years, I worked at ETOS, which is a division of Bosch, also automotive related. We did the scan tools. Every time you go into a GM dealer and they come out and they put a Tech 2, that's the tool that they had for years that you would plug in underneath your dash and it would run a diagnostic on your car and tell you what was wrong with your car. I was the one that would sell the Tech 2s to the people that distributed them to all the local GM dealerships throughout the country. And then just a few years ago, I decided I wanted to go out on my own, and I opened my own shop. And it's been very successful, and it's been about 5 years now. The next question here is hands-on auto experience. How many years and where have you worked hands-on with automobiles? I have always been involved in cars and rebuilding cars. I grew up in a small town. Actually got my driver's permit. You can get a farmer's permit when you're 14. Most people don't know that. But you can legally drive a pickup truck on the road. And I grew up in a small town with a lot of farmers, and so I got to drive a little bit early. My parents got me my first car when I was 15. It took me till 16 to actually rebuild the thing. It was a 77 Buick Skylark. Everybody thought it was a big black Nova, but it was actually a Buick. That's why I still today have a big love for the Buicks. Always been a car guy. I've even have been a Jeeper for many years. I was just I'm in a Jeep club, a vice president of Soldier of Fortune Off-Road. We called it Soldier of Fortune because we were watching an episode of A-Team back in the day when we decided to start our Jeep club. And that was just something we did kind of off the cuff. And actually, we just concluded our 10th year of Snowfari. That's our large event. We put it on in the winter time in Michigan. It's a lot more challenging to snow out or to wheel out in the woods in the deep snow. And the next question is business knowledge. What do you know about running an auto shop business? Well, actually, I worked in the corporate world, as I mentioned before, automotive related most times, and the cubicle, staring at fabric walls wasn't really my thing. Eventually, I decided to go out on my own and start my own business, and I've had a successful car restoration business for the last 5 years. I am the president and CEO. Next question is, what obstacles have you faced managing and owning a shop? Obviously, staffing is always a big obstacle. Just finding the right people. I've worked with a lot of the local community colleges to try and get good people here in my shop. Everybody, not only do they have to be good workers, they have to be knowledgeable so that you don't have to watch them all the time, and you have to find some people that work with the other personalities that are already in the shop. The body shop business has some crazy people that work in it, so just finding a group of guys that all get along can sometimes be a challenge. How did you overcome some of these obstacles? Some of the obstacles, staffing was a big obstacle. Finding a great location was a big obstacle. Just lots of research and lots of looking before we, decided where we wanted to open our shop. Marketing, just getting your name out there. Luckily, I grew up as a son of a small business owner, so I was used to the relationships between different business owners in town and how they relate to each other, and how maybe if I can help your business, you can help my business, and these kind of relationships were how I grew up. So that's where I got that background and where I learned that. Facility knowledge. What do you know? I not only know what I've learned in business school from how you arrange a shop and the flow of how work comes through. I know that in an academic sense, in my education, and I know that from a personal experience, from running my own shop and being in lots of small businesses. I know not only how things should be organized and how facilities should work, and how they can benefit the business, but I have actually experienced it and been involved with it and seen how things translate from here's how it should work on paper to here's how it actually works. The next question here is staff knowledge. What do you know about running a staff? Well, I've worked in the corporate world for a number of years, and I have been on lots of teams and had to work with lots of folks, which is very beneficial from having to deal with certain problems or certain situations. And I've also, as a small business owner, I've had problems with employees here in my shop. How would you describe yourself as a leader? Luckily, one of the bosses I learned the most from when I first entered the corporate world. He was a guy that everybody loved. It was hard to get on his bad side, or it was hard for anybody to not get along with him. And it wasn't that he couldn't get things done. He just was very good at finding the point where you could keep enough pressure on somebody to get them to do something that you needed to get your job done. He knew that edge, right where you can push someone to the point where they are more willing to help you out, but not push so far that you anger them and they end up working against you. A lot of times you have to think about how the person's going to react when you come to them with a problem. It can be much worse if you get into a conflict and the other person doesn't want to work with you. They can work against you, which will actually make things quite a bit worse. And that was the art that I learned from him. It's actually friendly pit bull is how I like to call it. You doggedly keep on someone just enough to get them to change their behavior, but not quite enough to actually piss them off and have them work against you. How did you deal with an unruly staff? Certain things, some of the problems I've had in my own shop, I had a painter that spent more time in the bathroom than he did in the paint booth. And I knew in that situation this person was kind of defensive. And I knew if I just came right at him and said, hey, you're spending too much time in the bathroom, that would just be a fight. and then he would fight against me, and then that wouldn't make the situation any better. So before I approached him, I actually kept records, had a little chart. This Tuesday, you spent, this many times, this many trips to the bathroom, and this much time in each one. That way, by the time I came and sat him down and could confront him, not only did I have the numbers to show that I wasn't just getting on him without having a valid reason, I could also use those numbers to show him that, hey, you just think you're taking a break in the bathroom for 15 minutes. Here's how much more we could have got done in that time during the day, and here's how much profit that himself and the shop would make if his productivity wasn't lacking in that area. And I was able to get that employee to buy in and get that problem corrected. Are you afraid of being disliked? I'm not too concerned about political correctness or how much people approve of me. That's just not something that I spend a lot of time worrying about. Next question. How do you think you will work with Richard? I think I will get along with Richard just fine because we both appreciate great automobiles, and we've kind of got fairly similar backgrounds in working on cars and similar experiences in that area. As I mentioned before, I do get along with lots of different people. So the dichotomy in my personality is that I live in a big city, even though I grew up in a small town. I have worked in a large corporations, but I have grown up as a son of a small business owner. That varied experience lets me relate to lots of people. In the restoration business, the blue collar guys appreciate me because they know I know my way around a car. I know my carburetors. I've rebuilt my transmissions. I've paid my dues. Everybody in the white collar world appreciates me because I've gone to college and gotten a business degree, and I have the education and the experience in the corporate world that I can bring from that side. So I think I'll be able to use all that in order to get along well with Richard and with other people on the show. The next question here is, why do you want to work on this project? Working on a TV show is something new that I haven't experienced before. I'm always looking for something that's outside of my comfort zone. I like to experience new things and learn new things. If I didn't, I wouldn't have been the guy that decided to leave the corporate world, take the risk, and go out and start his own small business. And that's the same kind of attitude. Next question is, why does Richard need you on this project? As I've mentioned before, I have a great, varied amount of experience growing up as the son of a small business owner to somebody that runs his own business, and somebody that's worked in the corporate world for 13 years, and I have education in business administration. I believe that is the perfect combination of experience, real life background, and actual professional education that I can relate and help out with any kind of business that you may need to rehab. I will be able to even if it's a small business, real small shop, just a couple of guys. I have owned a shop like that. I can relate to those people. I'll be able to help them. If it's a large corporation that maybe has one branch that is not performing up to par with the other branches, I have the business background and the experience in the business world to be able to help bring that one branch up to be with the rest of the company and deliver the numbers that they need to be successful with the rest of the corporation. Why does Richard need you on this project? I've grown up as the son of a small business owner, so I have experience dealing in small shops. I've owned my own small shop, so I can relate to any of the smaller shops that you have. I have 13 years experience in the corporate business world, dealing with corporations and stocking parts and repairing cars and dealing with the corporate side of the business. So if they had a shop that was part of a large chain of repair shops or body shops, I could go into that branch and talk to those people and coach them up and lead them into conforming with the rest of the corporation. And it's that combination of real world experience, my own personal background, my own knowledge of cars, and just years of working in this industry that I think uniquely makes me qualified for this show. I did want to say, what was the one that says, dress like you will be on the show. Let us see your style. My style is function and comfort. Everything I have usually has a welding burn hole or paint on it somewhere. So I'm more of a Carhartt and flannel line jeans kind of person. That would be my style, I guess you'd call it. I know you also wanted to know about some of the projects that we have done. Okay, this is some of the projects that we've done here in our shop. This was one of the first ones that we won an award for. This was at the Autorama. We got third place in our year in our group competition stock. This was a original 426 Hemi car. It was a color change. It was originally green with a green top. We changed it to the customer wanted black with a black vinyl top. This was another one that we restored for a customer here in town. This was actually a Kaiser. This gentleman actually loves Kaisers. Great cars to work on, very hard to find parts for, very rare. But they were made here in Southeast Michigan, so that does have a little extra nostalgia. And that one we took to the Concours d'Elegance in Western Michigan or Southwestern Michigan, I think. And that won the Blue Ribbon Best in Show. This one over here, this is a friend of mine. He had a tragedy in his life. Unfortunately, his child was at daycare and was a victim of shaken baby syndrome. We came up with this project. Originally, we were just going to paint a Jeep to try and help him raise some money for the child's care. Lots of corporations that make parts for the Jeeping world that we're involved in decided to donate. We got the word out and got lots of people to donate stuff, and we ended up building this. It was started out as a Wrangler, but we made it to look like an old classic pickup truck. The customer did lots of work, and we took this to Autorama, also got third in our class, but basically, mostly this was taken around to shows and used as a conduit to raise awareness against shaken baby syndrome. And this was also just on the cover of Jeep magazine just in November 2015. So we got a magazine cover out of that one.